Hi everybody, it's Jason Wampler, another episode of the Rocket Minute. And I'm kind of trying to be your host anyway. And I'm trying to figure out this silly phone and how the hell it works. Okay, there we go. Alright, we're going to draw ourselves a happy little diagram. Just like that guy with the brown, red, curly hair. And as usual, it's about the time of the night when my little girl Valencia goes stir crazy. She's just absolutely just crazed with sexual desire, and it's driving me nuts. We're going to do kind of a paper review of everything we've been doing on the two rockets we're building so far. And here goes. I might need another. You know what? Let me keep this pad of paper free and clear because it seems like I'm not, guys, when I set things up, I don't really set things up for convenience. So, anyway, enough of me complaining. Okay, so here we go. Can you see this? Okay, here we go. This is a lined piece of paper. And, okay, see my big hands? Boy, I tell you what. Okay, here's a pen. This is concept of student rocket number 1. We have, of course, the body tube right there. And we have this section in here that's threaded. That's the female section. We have the motor right here. That's that aluminum tube. And it has the male section, the male NPT that threads there. And that goes up like that. Then we have the nose section. Just to kind of give you a diagram, and it's a lot bigger. Thank goodness. With the coupler. And that goes in there like that. And that goes. See, guys, I told you I'm not much of an illustrator. Okay, so right. There you go. And this has the forward anchor spool. We're done installing. And that has the threaded rod going all the way through here like that. And nuts here on both sides. Nuts here on both sides. Nuts here on both sides. And of course, the nose cone section and a nut right here that's been sanded down. Now, this section here, we're going to be putting. Hold on, let me get it. I think. Yeah, let's have to do a student rocket out so we have the individual parts. It's 10:30. I can't do things with power tools. My upstairs neighbors have to work tomorrow. Actually, it's Sunday, so I don't know. This guy right here. Do you remember this guy right here? This particular fella. And it's wet. You know what? I gotta air this rocket out. I really gotta get my act together. Sorry, guys. This guy right here. This is the lower anchor spool. This guy goes right here, like so, and there's that eye bolt with the loop there, and that's that right there. We have a bigger, healthier arrow there. See, I'm such a terrible illustrator. Okay, so that's our rocket, and of course we've got student rocket. We've got kind of make this anatomically a correct rocket. There's the fins right there, and then we've got one more fin right there. So there we go. This eye bolt is going to hold a shock cable, a shock cord right there, loops at both ends. And this, of course, is going to have an eye bolt here that's going to hold. You can hear Valencia in the back. She's just going nuts. I don't know what's up with her. This is the other shock cord. Of course, here is the parachute. Roughly, my mom used to make parachutes for me when she was still alive. And I got to tell you, she was really handy with the sewing machine. She was a great cook. I really miss her. Her name was Deidre. Okay, so that's the parachute right there. This guy right here is going to get folded up and is going to go in the tube there. But these lines, it has my parachute. For a minimum diameter rocket like this, the parachute is going to be very thin mill. I'm going to get it from Top Flight. I'm probably going to end up spending about $30 or $40 on it. So you got to be prepared for the cost. Nose cones, I want to make nose cone plugs. I want somebody else to mold my nose cones for me. I'll design them. I'll build the plugs, but I don't want to make nose cones like that anymore. When I get the funds later on, we're going to be doing some bigger projects. But this parachute has 3 shroud lines that are attached at 2 points around the 6 main segments of the rocket. That's the base right here. And then, of course, you can see another one here. So that's 6 points there. These guys are the lines. Now, these lines, they form a U back and forth. It's one continuous line that just drapes and U's and hangs there that goes between 2 attachment points of the segments of the parachute. And then you have the third one and then the fourth one. It looks like it has 4 lines, but it's only 3. And this is, of course, let's use our colored pens to indicate what's going on where. And boy, this crap is just rolling all over the place. But let's see, the parachutes manufactured by Top Flight are usually orange. So we're just kind of colorize that right there. See, guys, I tell you, kindergartners can draw better pictures than I can. But that's the parachute right there. These shrouded lines, what's really interesting is these shrouded lines can loop through the attachment points. Let's use the attachment points on the shock cords and highlight them in green. The attachment point here, this is the upper shock cord. And the attachment point here, that's the lower shock cord. Now that's not drawn to proportion, but these 2 green points are going to go through the shroud lines. But the way you're going to do it, there's going to be loops at the end, and we'll show you how to do that too. The lines of the parachute, the 3 loops, basically it's going to be 3, not loops, but 3 bends going through each one of the holes of these attachment points, these looped attachment points, another loop attachment points of these 2 shock cords. And you're going to pull it through, and then you're going to just pull the rocket's line through, and then you're going to make big loops out of it, and you're just going to pull the rocket. You're just going to pull the rocket's shroud lines. Then you 1, 2, 3. Okay, hold on. Oh my goodness, over here. Valencia, you're interrupting. Man, you're going nuts. You stop? Boy, she's just going crazy. I'm shooting a video. She chooses this time to just go absolutely crazy. Teeny little petite cat. The cat can't weigh a pound. She probably weighs about 10 ounces, and she is by far the loudest cat, the loudest, most vociferous cat I have ever heard. She's got the loudest voice. She can yell at 100 decibels. Okay, so anyway, I'm denouncing my cat. These 1, 2, 3 loops will go through the 2 points of the shock cord, upper and lower. There you go. That's just line. It's just not anatomically correct, but you know what I mean. These 3 parachute shroud lines will go through these 2 points here, through there like that, and you'll make them large enough. Then you'll take the parachute and bring it around and go back through these loops, and you'll pull it tight. That is the simplest, most straightforward way of attaching the parachute to the two shock cord line halves. Larger rockets that go faster, that exceed 750 miles an hour and 10,000 feet of altitude, shock cord design is much, much different. Now, McFadden Hardware has all the material you need, but it's an elaborate, expensive process. I don't know how to sew, so again, this is where I'd have to subcontract work for these larger 1 and 2 story tall rocket designs that I'm engaging in when I'm trying to build the sounding rocket, when I get the funds to do that again. You might want to just hire somebody to build shock cords for you. But the larger shock cords, I'm not even going to derail the discussion in an attempt to explain that, because we want to stay on point. So we've gone through the several major points of the recovery system. Of course, the delay charge is in the motor grain itself, and that goes through this tube. In this particular section, this is the right here. This is the rear anchor spool right there. And let's put that in yellow. I'm gonna circle both anchor spools. This is the bottom or rearward anchor spool. This is the upper anchor spool there. Okay, guys, this looks like a 5-year-old doing this. Oh well. So there you go. So that is the recovery system itself, and basically with a single engine rocket with a delay grain and a separation charge, again, smokeless gunpowder, which you can get GOEX, double G or triple G, double F or triple F. It's professionally made smokeless gunpowder. It comes in little discs. The double F or the triple F just denotes what the size of the grains are. What color have we not used yet? Now, here's what I want to discuss with you about the motor. I said I wouldn't talk about this, but this guy right here, obviously the motor. If I had more color of magic markers, this would be really cool. That is, of course, the motor right there. What an awful diagram this is. Guys, I'm going to throw this out as soon as I'm done with this particular lecture. And you know what? Round rolls. It just drives me nuts. So you got the basics of this, the student rocket that we're building. Student number 1 rocket, SN1R, if you want to call it that. We can all put our existential, imaginary remote signatures on it when we're done. Let's now talk about the motor itself, the design of the motor, and the ejection charge, delay grain, and main grains. Now we're going to do something simple and straightforward. This is actually, I'm thinking maybe I should file these away in a folder somewhere. Let's tear off another piece of paper and let's draw a more competent picture of the anatomy of a basic rocket motor, the one that I'm going to teach you guys how to build. Okay, so hold on for a second while I do this. Because, another thing, guys, number 1, time goes too fast. Number 2, you can never get enough desk space. That's another one. Okay. So, proportionally, this is about right. As far as rocket motors are concerned, this is what I would consider 1, 2, 3 medium rectangles to 1 width type of rocket. This length of rocket motor itself is going to include, of course, that's going to be the nozzle. This is going to be the delay grain right here. This is going to be the forward closure. And this area right here is going to be a separation charge. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that didn't even look like a 4, does it? And 5. I'm writing an angle. This is interesting. I've never done this before. Now, number one over here. Number one is nozzle. And that vents the exhaust gases. It pinches the exhaust gases so you develop the most amount of pressure without restricting, just before restricting the volume of exhaust escaping, and it's open enough so you pinch the pressure, you pinch the escaping pressure, but not to the point where you restrict the volume escaping, so that you have a maximum amount of thrust. There's some math involved with that too. I just use the rule of threes, and I'm no good at math. 2 main body. Can you read? No, you can't, because that's too far up the paper. Gosh darn it. Oh my God. Let's see. And this leg is in the way too. Well, we're just doing the best we can, aren't we? Number 3, forward closure. Oh, no, excuse me. Delay grain. Let's say 5 second. 5S. 5, that's number 4 is forward. I can't even read my own handwriting. Forward closure. Okay, you can barely see that. Oh my God. People, there you go. Center, there you go. Center like that. There you go. And number 5 will be ejection. CHARGE. Without getting too fancy, BP. That stands for black powder. So the nozzle, this is an interesting discussion here. Before we design things, actually let's design it and then we'll discuss the material makeup of the motor itself. Or how do I say? We'll discuss the design philosophies for a rocket motor. We'll discuss some material selection, and then we'll discuss theory of assembly. I sure hope that I am not. How do I say this? Oh, never mind. Forget it. There's a lot of dangerous stuff on the internet. Why should I be held accountable for just one little thing? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so 1/3. Oh boy. 1/3. And there we go. Okay, the grain segments. One. Oh, there you go. 2 grain segments. There you go. How about that? Okay, there we go. Okay, so what we got red for the nozzle. Yellow for the nozzle. Guys, give me a second while I draw this picture. This is a lot of fun. I didn't know it'd be this much fun. Ooh, I enjoyed it. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. We're gonna colorize the nozzle section here. You know, Gary Elstein in his book Handbook of Model Rocketry, that book, by the way, is an absolutely positively excellent read. If you're uncertain about anything, if you're trepid or fearful about anything, read that book first. If you're cautionary about anything, Nora, I got to tell you, this is a really bad time. Nora's out there yelling. Okay, so main body. Okay, I'll go ahead and keep that. This is the main body right here. Fuel grains. By the way, we're going to discuss 4 different main, actually 4 or 5 different, actually let's just discuss 4 different types of solid fuels that are not that terribly difficult to make. 3 is the delay grain. Grain. Obscuring. No, it's not obscuring lines. That's fine. Like, get that little space in there. And here we go. Number 4. Oh, no, that's right. Yellow forward closure. The reason I'm doing a forward closure. Oh, no, you know what I forgot? I forgot. The forward closure. And, oh, freckles right there. Forward closure. Okay, here we go. Somebody somewhere is going to protest me doing this. I guarantee I seems like the only one that gets in trouble for doing this stuff. Here we go. What's the only color we haven't used yet? Oh, orange. Okay, so ejection charge. I might end up keeping this because this looks like someone who's maybe about 10 years old has drawn it instead of a 5-year-old. So there we go. And all I got to do little speckles for the grains. That indicates something or other. Okay, so what is that? Oh, the delay grain. Ooh. That's a delay. Usually delay grain starts burning the moment. Yes, the delay grain starts burning the moment the fuel segments in the main body are ignited, and the electric match oh, for goodness sake. No, that's what I did the last time. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there you can see that. That's negative. That's positive. There we go. It's not 12. Okay. Here we go. This is the electric match. Or igniter. You should just call it the igniter. Okay, so let me get this up so you can see everything. Oh boy, we got a lot going on here. Filled up the entire camera. Okay, so you know what? Let's just oh boy, I wish I had more Sharpies. I wish I had more colored pens. Oh well, let's we'll call that. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so 1B, 1A. Just freaking rolls. Round rolls, I tell you what. Okay, so here we go. Right here, this is the nozzle right here. This area indicates a solid piece. This is the entry area of the nozzle. It's, as a rule, 45-degree angle on both sides. 45-degree angle. So it's 22.5 degrees on both sides, 45 degrees all inclusive between this entry point surface there and that entry point surface there. This is the throat itself of the nozzle section of the rocket motor. And this, as a rule, we just do 1, 2, 3. We divide the width of the barrel of the rocket motor by 3. 1, 2, 3. That's test motor parameter. However, for optimum flight, depending on the fuel you're using, you might want to consider, we are going to consider something down to anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 to 5/16 or to 3/16 or even to 3/32 on up to 5/32, because we want to vent, we want to squish the pressure without taking away from the volume of exhaust that's escaping from the chamber. We want to keep as much pressure and volume coming out this nozzle as possible. So that requires this diameter here exiting that angle there, which is, I'll tell you the degrees in a second, is as great as possible for maximum thrust. Of course, the quicker these two fuel grains expend themselves, the shorter the flight of the rocket is going to be. Also based on the rocket's CP, CG, coefficient of drag, and its power to weight ratio. The power of the rocket, which is total impulse, divided by the weight of the rocket. So, and this, of course, is the electric match, which I didn't colorize. This guy right here. I tell you. So this angle right here is 30 degrees all inclusive. And then, of course, this angle right here for the nozzle is 45 degrees all inclusive. Now, this is something you can count on. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. When I teach you how to bore the fuel grain segments, it's always a rule of 3, just to be safe. Don't do anything any smaller. Don't do anything any larger. Too large, and you're going to have a really short rocket flight. Too pinched, and you haven't mixed the fuel right, you're going to create a bomb. So 1, 2, 3. The hole down the center, which is a core burner of the fuel grain itself, in short little phenolic lined barrels. There's 1 and there's 2, is going to be 1/3 the width. Okay, so, and this is a fuel grain here. These little circles right here are O-rings, which is a fuel circumference O-ring. Looks like a miniature, very, very anemic, anorexic donut. And this, of course, is the fuel grain itself, or the delay. This is the fuel grain itself. The delay grain comes in front of the fuel grain. Now, the relationship between the delay grain is also a pyrogen, but basically it burns probably at 1/4. The rule of thumb is 1/4 rate of burn in relation to fuel. I did this. In other words, this grain segment will completely burn. You know what? Yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. And then the grain goes all the way up here too. And I didn't design this right. The delay grain actually comes in contact with the smokeless gunpowder. Smokeless gun. Okay, let's talk about the delay grain. So it burns at 1/4 the rate that this does. This stuff will burn and expend itself within 3 seconds. A 3-second flight is what you're going to get out of 2 of these grain segments. Your rocket will attain an altitude between 800 to 1,200 feet, depending on its weight, coefficient of drag. You got the center of balance and the center of gravity correctly calculated. When this delay grain burns down, it's a solid disc, and it makes contact with the smokeless gunpowder. It ignites the smokeless gunpowder. Okay, I need to draw arrows correctly. And that creates pressure, and this pressure right here, air pressure to recovery system. Boy, my writing is just absolutely beautiful. I swear, in half the time I can't even read my own handwriting. I also like to write books, but what a bummer is I can't read my own writing, so I don't even bother proofreading what I wrote. I'm not kidding, it's that bad. Okay, so here we go. It's a little farther away. Okay, so you understand basically, how it works. I kind of screwed up on the design here, because the delay grain always makes contact with the separation charge or the ejection charge, which is black powder. Okay, so let's talk about the burn characteristics. These are the main fuel segments. They burn at a specific rate. They burn at a high rate of speed. This is the combustion chamber itself in both. The combustion chamber increases in diameter, so it increases the burn surface area, but because it increases in diameter as the fuel burns, even if in the increase in the surface area of grain is burning, the two tend to equalize each other out. And that's what's called self-regulation. At least that's what I would call self-regulation. However, you've there's a certain math formula that applies to that, and I believe it or not, I'm not really that good at math. There's math for everything. I know rule of thumbs. I can do proportions and angles. I'm very good at geometry and theoretical geometry too. But anyway, so that burn rate will equal a 3-second flight. 2 grains will equal a 3-second flight. 3 grains will give you about a 4.5-second flight. So each grain is going to burn 1.5 seconds, and it's going to help in the coasting. It's going to help in the powered phase of your rocket's flight, which is the first phase of a rocket flight. Let's just say 300 miles an hour at 1.5 seconds. You're going to cover 1.5 seconds, 300 miles an hour. You're going to cover. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I got to be honest with you. Maybe it may even be less than that. It may be 100. It may be 100 miles an hour. 100 miles an hour. Okay. My Bluetooth just turned off. 1.5 seconds at 100 miles an hour, you're going to cover some ground. You're probably going to cover maybe about 300 or 400 feet, depending, Ooh, yeah, I'm thinking, because a vehicle traveling at 100 miles an hour is going to cover nearly a fifth of a mile. Actually, no, probably about a sixth of a mile, a seventh of a mile. No. I'm sorry, about 1/10 of a mile. So about 540 feet. So if you got 1.5 seconds of thrust time here and thrust time there, that's 3 seconds of burn time. You're looking at about an 880 to 950 foot flight out of this rocket. Or you could be looking at something that wants to get that rocket up a lot faster to 1,200 feet, but coefficient of drag plus the weight of the rocket, so power to weight ratio, is going to push you back to about a 900 foot altitude. So this delay grain, but this stuff is designed to burn very quickly. It does not explode. It is not a controlled explosion. It is a controlled burn. Now, the Bureau of Alcohol, the ATF, which is the government agency, U.S. government agency, would insist that I'm telling you a lie, that this is a controlled explosion. It is not a controlled explosion. An explosion is a simultaneous release of all the energy of a pyrogen that is contained in a non-vented space. The explosion occurs when all the energy is released at once, and it bursts. It physically ruptures or bursts out of its non-vented containment mechanism or box. This is a controlled burn. This is a controlled burn. This is your delay grain. Remember, this delay grain is a solid disc. It has no core in it. It doesn't need to. Interesting to know, when you ignite, you use a 9-volt car battery and a switch, an arming light, comes alligator clips, a buzzer, and about 50 feet of lead, which is a NAR and Tripoli rule. You need a minimum 50-foot lead for any size model rocket. You ignite this here, and there's some pyrogen at the end of this right here that you stick up here. Igniter goes all the way here to the head end of the grain. It ignites these grains and it ignites the delay grain as well. Well, for a 3-second burn motor, 1.5 seconds per grain, you're going to have a 4-second delay grain. Now, this is, I got to tell you, you only want 1 second of a descent phase of the rocket's flight path before the delay before the recovery charge ejects the parachute with the shock, the drogue, and the shock cords, the assemblies. And the reason being, a short altitude flight of 900 feet, you're not going to have a whole lot to play with at terminal velocity. That rocket will reach terminal velocity by the time it slams into the ground. So you're not working with a whole lot of time. So a 4-second delay is a 4-second burn time for the grain is kind of pretty much what you want. But 4 seconds starts. No, excuse me. 1 second starts after 3 seconds of burn through the powered flight, and through coasting and apogee, which is going to take another couple seconds. So 3 seconds plus maybe, let's just say for safekeeping, another couple seconds, and then 1 second of descent. So that would push a 4-second delay grain into a 5-second delay grain. So where you pass apogee, you descend 1 second, and then the delay grain would expend itself and burn, making contact with the smokeless gunpowder, which will explode. This stuff will explode. It will release all its energy at once. So this stuff burns quickly. This stuff burns at 1/4 rate, 1/5 the rate, because we want a 5-second delay grain. This stuff explodes immediately. So that's the basics of how a rocket motor works. I didn't put the MPT threads. We're covering up the line there. I didn't put the MPT illustration of the MPT threads in the forward closure. I didn't bother doing that just for clarity. But here you go. I'm going to go ahead and scan this and somehow attach it to another episode so that you can look at this. By the way, hit the like and hit the subscribe button. If I've done anything wrong or if I'm acting like a fool, leave me constructive comments. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. So, but these are basic solid fuel rocket motor basics. This could be a single-use motor. This could be a reloadable motor, where you buy a kit, where you get the tube, the aft closure, the forward closure, and that's it. Then you buy a pyrogen kit, which has the 2 delay grains, a nozzle, all the O-rings, or that has the 2 main grains, a delay grain, the ejection charge pyrogen, which is smokeless gunpowder. So 1, 2, 3, the O-rings and the nozzle, and plus a couple of few other seals and rings and what and so forth. So you have to get an anodized aluminum rocket reloadable motor system. Aerotech makes the best, in my opinion. You can get them for pennies on the dollar on eBay or Amazon. The reloadable kits, the reloads, though, you want to stick to eBay on. They're not that bad, but they're not that cheap either. But remember, you're in it because you have the heart and soul and the enthusiasm of a Rocketeer. Okay, so I'm going to actually keep that illustration because it looks a little bit less than worse than the last one. So we got 3. Okay, so we've got 3 pieces of paper. I'm going to keep these all. I'm going to scan these documents and make them available. And if you can decipher my handwriting quicker than I can, you're definitely a better person than I am. Let me put that on the ground. And here she comes. Little Miss Noisy. Can you hear her in the background? That's my cat. She weighs 10 ounces, and I got to tell you, she's louder than a bullhorn. Valencia, will you calm down, please? Okay, so let's talk about the phases of a rocket's flight. Honey, Valencia. Dang. Okay, so we're going to turn the phone upright. The camera on the phone upright. I'm going to turn this upright like that. Okay, so we're doing things long ways. No. Well, I got to completely adjust the geometry. You know what? Let me draw a rocket's flight. Whoa, there we go. Power phase. Valencia, I swear you are out of control. Here. These kids, I tell you. Okay, so I'm drawing the, okay, so we got powered flight. Hold on just a second, guys. I know you're looking at a lot of nothing. No, I guess I can do it like this. Wow. Boy, do I need more. I need sanity. I need assistance is what I need. Oh man, with no assistance, I'm telling you. Oh, there you go. How do I do this? Kind of like that, I think. Okay, here we go. Oh my God. Teaching is fun, but I'm telling you. Oops. Okay, that's... Use yellow for that. That's apogee. That's recovery. Now it's descent, no recovery. And there we go. That's descent with recovery right there. Okay, so we've driven, listen to me. God dang it, my mind works faster than my ability to form speech. Interesting. Okay, let's look at these. Let's look at this guy right here. This is phase number 1 of a rocket's flight. That's called powered flight or powered launch. This is 2. This is coast. We're gonna say phase. We have to be consistent because I'm an engineer. Okay, so 3, apogee. And everybody loves the word apogee. That's basically similar to the round cone rocket's flight path. It's going as high as it can, around 1,200 feet. 900 feet, and it goes up in an arch and curves back down. This green section right here. This is let's see, 4. No, hold on. Descent, no. And this is, okay, so that number 4 is descent, no recovery, 1 second only. That's where the rocket's descending for 1 second before it reaches terminal velocity. Remember, you don't want that rocket to be free falling up to 93 miles an hour, because no matter how strong the recovery system is, including the parachute, the shroud lines, the shock cord, the anchors, the hardware, everything, something is going to get damaged on the rocket. It will not be suitable for another flight right after without doing repairs first. So if you mess up here and your rocket keeps descending and it attains 93.7 miles an hour, I don't know of any recovery system on any rocket that can withstand that speed, while popping out a parachute, unless you have, you've used materials, space age materials on the recovery system that are so strong that they're space age or they're top secret. You're going to end up jamming or jarring something loose or breaking something in the rocket. That 93.7 miles an hour, if something gets jerked out of your hand at 93.7 miles an hour, I got to tell you, you best hope that your ability to release that object before it pulls your fingers off your hand is on point. 93.7 miles an hour is very, very, very quick. And remember, you built the rocket light but strong, but the rocket is not invincible. So this coast phase at a 900-foot altitude, just using that as a parameter, better, not coast, it's descent, no recovery, 1 second only phase. That's phase number 4. And I kind of make that up, guys. Again, a 900 foot flight is fine. It's very, very conservative first flight for a student number 1 rocket. And remember, we want conservative first flights. We want to know the characteristics of the rocket, handling, make sure we got the CG and the center of gravity, center pressure dialed in correctly, the fins stay on the body tube, the paint doesn't peel off, the launch slug doesn't break off, no structural mishaps, ejection charge doesn't burn or char the parachutes, things like that. You want to use a low power rocket to make sure everything's copacetic. So 900 foot, 3 second burn time, 1 second coast, and then apogee, and then a 1 second descent without no recovery, 1 second only. Then after 1 second, this is when the recovery phase. This is number 5, and boy, I'm kind of reaching over, making a fool out of myself. Recovery phase, and I gotta tell you, 15 mph max touchdown speed. Okay, and then in the recovery phase, and let's just put some arrows to show, obviously what direction the rocket's going. Oh goodness, I can't see that. I can't see them. Let me get a bigger phone with a wider camera. Maybe I can do this. And look at that. Terra firma, that means the ground. This is recovery phase, 15 mile an hour, max touchdown speed. Why do we say 15 miles an hour as a rule of thumb? Guys, I don't like to come across as an inexperienced know-it-all or experienced know-it-all, but I will tell you this right now. You don't want anything you build to hit the ground faster than 15 miles an hour. The rule of thumb is that is the impact. That's the limited speed. That is the impact limit speed, or that is the upper ends and limits for anything that impacts the ground that is made out of plastic, fiberglass, aluminum, wood, balsa, MDF, garolite, bakelite, or carbon fiber. If your rocket hits the ground with the parachutes, the drogue and the parachute deployed. Well, the drogue just pulls the parachute out and helps the parachute deploy. But with main parachute or parachutes plural, if your rocket vehicle hits the ground at faster than 15 miles an hour, guess what? It is going to break. Something is going to break. The shock of hitting the ground faster than 15 miles an hour is going to cause something to separate or break. If it doesn't break near a glue weld, then it's going to break some of the material. Carbon fiber is very, very strong. It is not invincible. Carbon fiber and reinforced G10, vacuum bag reinforced G10 over a phenolic tube or a paper craft tube is very, very strong. It's suitable for transonic flights. But in transonic flight or in subsonic flight, the rocket isn't hitting any solid mass. If your rocket vehicle hits solid mass at faster than 15 miles an hour, I guarantee something's going to break, split, dent, crack, or shatter, or at least dislodge and come loose. Now, if your rocket doesn't look broken after you've got separated, if you have a center section, an aft section, you have a front section, and you look at the rocket, it seems like it doesn't have any damage, but the parachute was undersized because the payload bay, it was a little heavy. You had some more electronics than usual. Maybe you were doing an egg loft and you undersized the parachute. You underestimated the weight of the rocket. Or the motor is much, much more powerful than you originally calculated. Then it's going to push the rocket higher, faster, and farther. And or with an undersized parachute, perhaps it's an overpowered rocket, too light, too powerful a motor. The delay grain is too long. It allowed the rocket to descend through the descent phase without the recovery system and get it closer to that 93.7 miles an hour, maybe the descent speed got up to like 50 miles an hour. And that not only puts a lot of strain on the recovery system and the anchors and the anchor points and the shock cord and the parachutes and the parachute shrouds and everything. Guess what? At 50 miles an hour descent, which is way too fast, you have an overpowered rocket. Basically, the motor's too powerful. The rocket was too light or too powerful motor. The delay grain or the separation charge went off too late. You're going to hit the ground faster than 15 miles an hour. It's just everything cascades, everything affects everything. Everything has a domino effect in rocket flight. That's why you have to be so careful to make sure that you draw a graph like this and you graph everything out. You need to weigh your rocket. You need to have coefficient of drag. You need to have power weight ratio. You need to do your calculations for specific total impulse of your rocket motor versus the weight. You get power weight ratio, drag, coefficient of drag, center of pressure, center of gravity, and even a ratio control surface of the fins of the rocket on the rocket itself. Calculations such as a little bit of high wind at higher altitude, so your rocket's going to get to around 2,500 feet. The bigger and more badass rockets get, the more critical your calculations are and the more correct you have to be. So there's an old saying, you measure twice, you cut once. So don't get past the point of no return by launching a rocket that you have not done enough calculations for. And I'm a blazing hypocrite for this because I'm an experimental rocketeer and I'm just terrible at math and calculations and those sort of things. However, all things being equal, I need to practice what I preach as well, and I'm going to with the student rocket because I don't want to be embarrassed by this darn thing failing in some way, shape, or form, which is why I'm making mistakes now before I get to the launch pad, and heaven forbid, somewhere throughout the flight path of the rocket, something goes wrong or awry. I do want to talk about some other things too. Wrapping and fitting a parachute, choosing a parachute or two parachutes depends on a lot of things. There's a whole science to developing parachutes. I'm going to recommend several things that you go to Top Flight's website and you look up. They Top Flight makes model rocket parachutes. They're very, very good at what they do. TOPFLITE, Top Flight model rocket parachutes, and I'm promoting them. And they have somewhere on their website, they're going to tell you how to calculate the size and number of parachutes you need for your particular rocket vehicle. You can enter in data and parameters in it. If they don't have that, which I think by today's day and date they should, if they don't, you can always download RockSim off the internet. It's an app. You can go to Google Play and download RockSim for free. You can calculate your center of pressure, your center of gravity, and you can figure out based on the rocket's drag coefficient, its flight characteristics, the desired altitude, the power of the motor, the weight of the fuel in the motor, how big your rocket parachutes are going to be. Now, something to consider about the rocket we're building, it's tall and it's thin, therefore interior space is going to be limited. So you want to get ultra thin mill parachutes, which means you're probably going to end up spending a little bit more money with Top Flight, getting more exotic material, stuff that's very, very, very thin, not necessarily light, but very, very, very thin, that is easy to spiral pack and fold once. However, if that doesn't work, then you may end up having to build a rocket with two separate parachutes, in which case you're going to need a third shock cord assembly. I'll show you how to do that as well. You may not need drogues, but you're going to need two individual parachutes for one rocket and three different individual shock cords because of the fact that the rocket is so tall and thin. We have that one student rocket we're building that's very tall and thin, but I think it's going to be a 3-segment rocket. It's going to have 4 shot cord halves, 2 drogues, 2 parachutes, and a minimum diameter electronics bay and recovery system. So it's going to have electronics on it. So it's going to be an advanced rocket. The 2-engine rocket that we're building is going to have what's called RCHEI ignition. That's remote control head end ignition. And that 2-engine rocket, we're not going to fly that for probably about another 6 to 9 months. I'm supposed to be getting a large check. I'm getting the funds in. We're going to build a controller that has a radio transmitter built in for controlling the throttle on model aircraft. We're going to use that, attach that to a speed controller on board the rocket itself. Somehow we're going to fit it. And that speed controller is going to be shunted. That shunt will ignite the head ends of both rocket motors, and it'll be a wireless transmission of ignition signal through the throttle channel, which is channel number 3, on an RC controller. Now, I'm giving away proprietary knowledge, but I don't really have the right to patent something like that because it's such a universal concept. Anyway, so we'll talk about that later. But here you go. That actually looks as professional as all possible. I like the terraforming part because, without a ground to walk on, I think life would be very difficult. Anyway, we're at the 56-minute mark. My name is Jason Wampler. If I haven't been able to upload many shorts or many videos, it's because I keep hitting the reset and reboot function on my phone in an effort to get rid of all this crap that's coming from advertisers. And I got to tell you, it's just like you have a little 6-person or 4-person dinghy in the middle of the ocean after a shipwreck, and all these people are not swimming out to rescue you. You got 150 people that want to get on your same dinghy because they want to sell you something. Disaster relief insurance, life insurance, life raft insurance in case your inflatable dinghy, ruptures. Using that as an example. So I've got so much crap coming on our phone. We gotta upload and install new programs. Well, the problem is my phone is getting so many updates and installs. Now we've got too many things fighting each other. My phone's starting to malfunction. So, you put, too many cooks spoil the broth, as the saying goes. Anyway, so that's pretty much that. I hope you learned a little something. Let's I'm going to go ahead, like I said, and the little child's illustrations, I don't know. You know what? I think as far as this illustration is concerned right here, I want to get your vote and see, guys, when you leave the comment section, should I keep this stupid illustration or not? It looks so childish. As far as this illustration explaining the inner workings and goings-on of your basic solid fuel rocket motor for model rocket enthusiast, I know I'm going to keep that. I'm going to scan this, and I'm going to upload it to my channel, so that for reference. This golden boy right here, this basically the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phases of rocket flight. I want to keep that too as a reference source. So maybe what I'll do is I'll just develop like a folder to keep this stuff in. I'll staple them together and I'll put them in my business folder. Anyway, we're at the 58-minute mark, and I hope you guys have been patient enough to watch the thing the whole way through. And you have to understand that rockets are fairly involved, but if you have a passion, it is the single most rewarding pursuit that you could possibly imagine. It is educational, it's fun, it's good, clean fun. It's not necessarily that safe, but it's not immoral, it's not illegal, it's not fattening, and there's no discussion of religion or politics. You're not really breaking any law by engaging in scientific research out in the middle of the desert where nothing can burn anyway. All right, we'll talk to you later. I'm going to leave an excessively long video. I'm going to shoot an excessively long video tomorrow, probably about 3 hours, because I want to make some headway with my level 2 rocket. So tomorrow's going to be kind of a fun day. We're going to cut my level 2 rocket in sections because I need to shorten the length because I want to attach the motor. Then we're going to discuss design concepts for my level 2 rocket, and I'm not entirely sure how how big I'm going to make the motor, so I have to figure that out as well. But we'll learn things. We'll figure things out as we go along. Kind of always do. You guys have been a great audience. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button. My name is Jason Wampler. I've been your host of another episode of the Rocket Minute. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.